Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be across this beautiful blue-green globe of ours. Welcome to Real News Live. It is a special, they're always special, Toxically Masculine Tuesday. I'm your host, Mike Bara, in Las Vegas, Nevada. Fresh off of picking up something I didn't need, some steroids. Well, I did need them. You picked up. Sorry, I'm late. It's my fault, not these guys' fault. Had to go pick up a prescription, and I mean, I had to because I'm really suffering. But, gentlemen, I wanted to lay it out there for you today. I went to the doctor for my 6 months checkup today. I had my blood work done. I had my weight taken. I had everything checked. And guess what? Mike Bara is down 12 pounds in the last 3 months. Mostly, I think, thanks to these wonderful patches from the patch company, the LifeWave patches. Pick them up, guys, the SP6. And I appear to be oozing testosterone from every pore, ladies. So here we are. It's great to be with you. I'm just drinking water tonight. I just got in. I'm joined, as I always am, by the man to my immediate stage, left or right, depending on where you are, Dr. Brooks Agnew. Brooks, how you doing? How's the house coming along? And what are you drinking?
House is rocking. I rolled on 6 gallons of paint in the last, since this morning. And I got the upstairs almost done. I'm drinking coffee, just trying to rehydrate. Oh, it's gone already.
Coffee with a little whiskey in it.
Coffee with a little whiskey.
Doing, yeah.
That's the Whiskey and Wisdom show. That's tomorrow night. And, of course, the man below me, in no way except physical. Well, you know what? Like, just for the introduction, the man directly above me, the awesome, the unbelievable, the cub reporter from somewhere in Tennessee, TD's Blake Wally. I see the strip club is getting ready there. Blake, how's it going, man?
Yeah, it's still early here, so it'll fill up later after the show. So I'm looking forward to that. But it's great to be here, and I can't wait to get this show on.
Yeah, Blake,
started as well. And I'm going to get the party started with some Larceny whiskey. I will represent.
Larceny. I noticed that bottle is quite a bit lower than it was the last time we saw it. So they've been working on that sucker. So TV's Blake Wally, owner of the finest strip club in Nashville, called the Lickety Split. Get over there. All right. And, of course, the man we missed last week, the guy who we are very grateful to have back, former head of security at Los Alamos National Laboratory, the man who exposed government corruption, are you a Marine Special Forces? Marine Special Forces, former chief of police, the most purely masculine member of the cast. Steve Doran, the Trail Boss. Steve, how are you doing? And has any network done a major feature on you lately?
Nobody's done a major feature on me, but I'm probably going to be going on Sean Ryan here shortly.
Sweet.
Talk about my exploits.
That is awesome.
The Marine Corps and after. But a couple people asked me how I was doing. I'm doing well. I was prepared to do the show last week, but Mike threw a freaking fit.
I wouldn't let you. Yeah.
Anyway, so I went for my whatever it is, 9-month checkup. You go like 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, whatever it is.
Right.
Anyway, so my tumor has shrank to almost nothing. The cancer hasn't been a problem, since I started the
no sugar diet, basically.
No sugar, no, not eating any of the crapola. And then, like, all of my levels, except for one, which is caused by having to put that stent in my uh, the line between my kidney and bladder, and so that's
what's your ureter. That's your ureter.
Whatever it is.
They put a stent in your ureter. It sounds painful.
And that has nothing to do with the cancer. That has nothing to do with the tumor. But the deal is that it is screwing with my levels a little bit. So they take me in, and I think next week they take them out, so it'll be done. But anyway, it's screwing with my levels a little bit. So they take me in, test my blood, adjust the levels, and then let me go.
Yeah. Well, when you're ready, I think we got to do a podcast interview. We just sit down, you and me, just chat about your journey, and where you are. And
well, I was kind of hoping that I could go down to Brooks's house. That Brooks would get his house done. He would hook me up to some, fancy schmancy machine that he made in his garage.
Yeah.
And then zap me.
Who does have that? Who does have that is my buddy Mel Carmine. I know his podcast on Mondays. He has a healing center, which is basically just got electrical medbed type things that do, apparently, according to people I've spoken to, do amazing things for people's health. Yeah. So that's in Cape Canaveral. We got to get you down to Orlando and get you in there for a couple of days or a month.
Yeah, but I want Brooks to be on the big lever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because Brooks is a master engineer, but I think Brooks, you should check out Mel's setup down there. That'd be a great pilgrimage for us all to make. Except for Blake, who doesn't have.
Well, I think there's lots,
but
the more I'm around it, and the more that I have to deal with it, the more I have to deal with it with other people. There's multiple cures to cancer and other things. It's just getting your act together. And number one is just being at peace with it. I mean, I've been at peace. I mean, honest to God, I have no stress when it comes to my illness whatsoever. None, zero, zip.
Yep.
And people who sit there and gnaw on their fingers and worry about it and take every treatment known to man, getting zapped, whatever. Those are the people that you really see suffering.
Yeah,
they're manifesting the illness.
Right, exactly. I mean, you buy into the doctor's, like you said, Steve, a couple of weeks ago. You buy into the doctor's, belief system, and you're going to end up like they expect you to end up, which is pretty much dead.
Well, that and you continue to take the chemo or the poison. I mean, I look at people who have started when, I went in to get checked. And, the only thing I go in for is check. I don't get any treatment, just get checked.
Mm-hmm.
And, I see people that are in there that had started and have been taking treatment. And they're
wasted away.
I call them radioactive zombies. It's horrible.
Yeah.
And, and I'm pleasant. Everybody has their own choice. So, I'm very kind and loving toward them, and they got to do what they got to do. But, you would think after going into that phase of life and not being able to eat and throwing up all the time and all that you'd say, well, maybe there's something a little bit different I can be doing.
Maybe I should be trying something besides what the doctors tell me to try. Yeah.
But again, But I don't want to make disparaging remarks against them because they're in a horrible place. So,
well, what this has taught me, and it's interesting because there was an older lady today, Brooks. I gave her your website. I told her about ivermectin. She was the lady that took my HOA payment in the office over here, and she didn't know anything about it. And it's amazing how many people don't know anything about these other alternative therapies. But I guess if you were really sick, you probably would really research it. But
because they're scared. Because they're scared. I mean, they tried the same thing with me. They bring you in. They go, "Oh, you've got cancer. This is da 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 da. Oh, this is horrible. It's the most horrible thing that could possibly be happening. We've got to do surgery, or we got to do this, or we got to do that.
We got to remove.
And so they don't even want to hear about anything else. Now, some people do go home. They run right home and start researching what they can do and how they can get started. But other people, they're just do it. Like, can we get this done next week? Can we get it done tomorrow? because they think that that's the only thing that'll save them.
Yeah, and it's not. So
and I had an uncle. I'll tell you, he died. I don't know, a few years ago. He had a huge tumor on his lung, and they told him he needed chemo and needed his lung removed, and he had lung cancer and how horrible it was or whatever. He's like, "Fuck you, I'm gonna go have the best time ever." And he lived another 14 years drinking beer, smoking cigarettes, and going bowling every day.
Yeah. So there you go.
And had no issues, none.
Yeah.
It finally got him. I mean, he went to the hospital after 14 years, and he was like, I can't breathe very well. I think I smoked too many cigarettes, and went to the hospital, and then he died at that point. But for 14 years, he did nothing but have a good, like what he would consider was a good time, which was bowling.
Yeah. Emphysema will get you eventually. It got my dad. And Steve, the amazing thing is that we're going to need to talk about someday is that you basically beat it just by cutting out sugar and, food additives. And that's quite amazing. So I wanted to go through a few things. Mel Carmine is wild, but he has this healing center in Orlando or near NASA in Cape Canaveral. Steve, we got to get you down there, see what happens.
See, we should do a Trail Boss on the road to the NASA
the NASA Healing Center of Mel Carmine. Right, there you go.
Right, there you go.
Sugar kills. I think you're right about that, but I am an addict. And then Kyle Marsh says, SP6s, I lost 28 pounds with them. That's what I'm taking. I've been taking it for 3 months. Coincidence that I've lost 12 pounds in 3 months? I don't know. I'm not doing anything really different with my diet. I had fish tacos last night. So, who knows, guys? Check them out. Links in the description to that stuff. Been on LifeWave for over 5 years. They really are amazing. If you have health,
why would fish tacos harm you?
Well, they wouldn't. But what I'm saying is I'm eating kind of what I want to eat and not having any, and still dropping weight. And then Thomas says ivermectin, fenbendazole, and HCQ will work on cancer. There is a medical study on it. Brooks, why don't you tell them all about that?
Yeah, you can read all those studies. I try to keep them all linked to the website. I can't advertise for obvious reasons. I'm an outlet for ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine. We call it Ivan and Roxy on this program. Mm-hmm. And you can go there. You can buy the report. I will make sure that you get your samples, either 100 of the ivermectin or 150 of the hydroxychloroquine. We have kept 50,000 people out of the hospital because you can get these at cost with no prescription through my website. So please tell your friends about it. They're brewing up some more crap to send out there. You're going to catch it, and you're probably going to get sick unless you're taking these or have these in your medicine cabinet.
Yep. And link I just put into the chat. So absolutely terrific stuff.
And it works good when your dogs get tumors, they get bit by snakes, all that kind of stuff. It works good for all that.
Yeah. And Kyle, you're also correct. The Mushroom Ladies, I believe there's a link to Mike Bara Pets in there. Not to sell stuff, but nobody ever gives us super chats or rumble rants on the show. So
I just started.
Go there and get the mushroom
I just started
stuff.
taking it last week.
Yeah, and the mushroom stuff is really, really good for you. So
all I know is a doctor that gave me a terminal diagnosis 11 years ago. I see him every year. He's my dermatologist. I had stage 4 melanoma 11 years ago. He said, whatever it is you're doing, keep doing it.
So what did you do 11 years ago? Was it the ivermectin?
11 years ago, I ramped up my immune system and took what's called Nivolumab, which is really nothing more than antiparasitic.
Mm-hmm.
So
the same concept.
What was it called?
Nivolumab. No one knew diddly shit about ivermectin or HCQ 11 years ago, but it worked on me. And my lesions just shrunk and went away in like 3 weeks. They were gone. It was amazing. Absolutely. It even blew the doctors' minds. So, ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine work together or separately. But ivermectin is an antiparasitic, and it works on the protein that the viruses use and parasites use for reproduction. So they just grow old and die, and they don't replace themselves.
Fuck you, parasites.
That must
That's
be
right, guys.
that must be what Indian mud does as well. Because a friend of mine had skin cancer really bad. They told him he was going to die, and he bought the Indian mud and just put it on like the spots, and it ate away just the cancer. And the doctor told him don't come back to his office because he doesn't do voodoo.
Exactly right. Well, all I can tell you is I'm doing the right stuff. I'm biohacking.
I still want to be on a bed, on some chains, being hoisted to the top of the carriage house, and I want Brooks to throw the switch.
Well, that's Mel Carmine place. The thing that he has there. I forget the name of it. A Staying Alive. It's called the Staying Alive Healing Center. So
The only technology
gotta
I
get there,
have
Steve.
is the live stream generator, and all it really does that we can document in the clinic is it boosts your blood oxygen level by about 6% within a couple of minutes, and it stays there for 24 hours.
Well, I'll go
All
to
right.
Mel's. Like I said, I'll go to Mel's. Just hook me up. I'll drive there. I'll actually make a documentary of it. Hey, I'm on my way to Mel's. Blah blah blah.
Well, now that we've successfully gotten ourselves a strike on YouTube for
When do we get a strike?
medical misinformation,
We didn't give anybody any info. All we said
I know, but they're still going to hit us because we're talking about the things we're not supposed to.
That's why we say
You know what, YouTube? Fuck you, YouTube. Okay, I'm on steroids. I want to fight YouTube. In fact, send your whole board out here. I'll take all of you fuckers on. All of you. I don't care if there's 20 of you on the board. I'll take you on, you bastards. But that's okay because we still have Rumble. So go to hell. All right, guys, let's move into the news. That's what poor Blake's sitting there like, I don't have a big C story to tell. So we'll get everything going. Guess what happened this week? The big, beautiful bill, which allegedly is one of the things that's been holding up the financial reset, got passed out of the Senate, which was a really difficult place where they thought it was going to go. There was going to be the most trouble, but it did get passed just last night, and there was a vote by Vice President J.D. Vance to
I'm
break
still
the
here,
tie.
by the way. The dogs kicked the door open. I got to go close it.
All right.
Go ahead. Keep going, Mike.
On this vote, the yeas are 50, the nays are 50. The Senate being evenly divided, the Vice President votes in the affirmative. The bill as amended is passed.
Yay. Stick that up your ass. No, there's no sound. They don't want to hear anybody.
On this vote,
All right. So while we wait for Steve to come back, let's get the conversation rolling, gentlemen. This is not a perfect bill by any stretch. The Senate parliamentarian, who is really a ceremonial position, managed to fuck it up royally, but that now goes to reconciliation for the House and the Senate to take their two versions and come up with something. We didn't get no tax on tips. We didn't get no tax on Social Security. We didn't get no tax on overtime, which is why I always thought that Trump should have sent these issues out one at a time.
Right.
But, he's not in control of that. A legislator has to cooperate with him. But I would have put those three tax, first vote is keep the tax cuts, because if they hadn't reinstated the Trump tax cuts, every American's taxes would have gone up by like 60% or 39% or some crazy thing. It would have been a huge increase in taxes, would have killed the economy. That was an issue. But we did get some things, and there are people arguing, believe it or not, that this increases the deficit. It's like you're $36 trillion in debt, and you're talking to me about the deficit. But here's the thing, and I'm going to throw it to you first, Brooks. Here's the thing. They always say shit like, you have to pay for the tax cuts. Why? What tax cuts do is they increase revenues. You know why?
Right.
Because people have more money, and they go spend that money in sales taxes and everything else. So that is another big lie. I'm just sick of the lies. But Brooks, let's throw it to you. What do you think about the big, beautiful bill, and do you think it will ultimately help or hurt. Oh, by the way, one last thing I was going to say about this before we throw it out. Every Democrat in both houses pretty much voted against this. They're all saying, "Oh, this is terrible for America. This is terrible for America." You know what? If the Democrats really believed this was terrible for America, they would vote for it. You know why? Because it would hurt Donald Trump. The reason every Democrat voted against this bill is because in spite of its flaws, in spite of its imperfections, they know it's going to help America, not hurt it. Brooks, what's your take?
Well, I'm with you. I think one bill, one law. But the Senate
bill,
and
rule
the
of law.
House, they only work so many hours a year. And I was going to say days a year, but it ain't really days. And so you only get so many votes out of them. And so this was necessary. I'm with you. I think that they slid it and cut it and jabbed it and stuck it over the last few days, and it's nothing. Didn't have near the value that it had 2 weeks ago. One of the votes, and I think was the most critical one, but the Democrats evidently feel very strongly about this because they have been shooting people in the head, like officials, government officials. They have been shooting them in the head lately over this, and that is taking illegals off of Medicaid. That was in the bill, but because the Senate parliamentarians stepped forward, even though it had 56 votes in the Senate, 56 is enough to pass. Suddenly, all of a sudden, out of the blue, the parliamentarian steps in and says, no. This particular part is going to take 60 votes. And they couldn't get to 60 votes, and so it didn't pass, which means illegals are still on Medicaid.
Yeah, and the thing about this is the Senate Majority Leader, John Thune, who's a fucking traitor to this country and needs to go to the gallows. If the rest of it didn't get a strike on YouTube, take that. He's a fucking traitor, and he can remove this person anytime he wants. He can eliminate the entire office, and that she has no power. Nobody elected this cunt, and she's able to do this to stop us. We have 56 senators voting in favor of that. Now, the one question I have, Brooks, sorry about my language, folks. Not really. It's Masculine Tuesday. I'm just talking the way I talk at the bar with my buddies, because that's where we're at. We're at the bar with my buddies, but we're not drinking. But is there any way that they can put that back into the House version of the bill and then send the reconciliation package back and have the Senate vote on it again?
Yes, there is. But as I said, it's dangerous. They have been killing people over this. So evidently, this is a fucking lot of money we're talking about. Hundreds of billions of dollars of slush money. And they just, by the way, arrested 300 medical professionals for running a scam on Medicaid. 300 is just the tip of the iceberg. There are billions of dollars in this slush fund, and that's why they have to have that Medicaid for illegals.
Yep. And you get rid of the Medicaid for illegals, and you get rid of a lot of the reasons for them to even be here. Blake, you talked about this on your show today, which is what's it called again?
The eccentric perspective.
Okay.
Right.
And so you know all about this stuff. What's your opinion of the big beautiful bill? I think it's, if you had to rate it, I'd say it's 60% of right and 40% shit. But what do you think about it?
Well, I think, changed my mind here, Mike. Yeah, at first I was ready to concede. Okay, just fine. Let's just pass the stupid thing. Sure, it's got some problems with it. But I didn't know that they cut out the no tax on tips and the overtime of the Social Security.
Well, they didn't cut it out, but they only give you a tax break on those. You're not getting no taxes at all, which is what should have happened. Yeah, so you're getting they're going to pay less taxes on Social Security overtime and tips, but it's not eliminated. So just to be clear.
Okay, well then I guess we're getting things that we thought, and then they're taking all the good stuff away. It's too expensive, but I don't know if it's worth fighting over anymore. Can we just maybe get it done? It's too bad because there's a civil war brewing again with Thomas Massey and Elon Musk, and it's turned into a shit show now. So I don't know if this is worth battling over. Is it worth causing a rift in the Republican Party? Can people get on the same page with this? It doesn't sound like it. And then you've got the Democrats that want, Medicaid for illegal aliens.
Yeah. But Blake, do you think this rift is real? I mean, Elon Musk says he's going to primary every Republican that votes for this bill. And let's just be blunt. I mean, historically, there's only been 3 or 4 per cycle people that get people that get primaried that lose. It almost never. So I don't care how much money Elon Musk has. Is it really going to make that much of a difference? Or is this just fake outrage on Musk's part? Or do you think he's serious?
I think he's got to be somewhat serious because they think they were even talking about perhaps like deporting him to South Africa again. Like it's gotten pretty heated. And then Elon has kind of said, "I'm going to stay out of this. Let this kind of smooth over for now." But the libertarian wing is very upset about this, and it could cause a rift. It's going to it cost a lot of money, even for Elon, the world's richest man, to fund that many primaries. So I don't know if it's going to go over well, but
Steve Doran, Trail Boss, what are your thoughts on the big beautiful bill, and what would you, out of the proposals that we know about, pick one thing, if you don't mind, that you would insist had to be completely in there before you'd vote for it if you were a senator?
No tax on tips, and no tax on overtime.
Yep.
That would be the one
not
thing.
Social Security? Not Social Security? I think Social Security should be tax-free.
Well, I mean, the thing is that you're getting more money back. You make a hell of a lot more money in overtime. You make a hell of a lot more money in tips than you do out of the Social Security Administration. So the reason I say that is it puts more money back in the economy. People are spending more money. And eventually we could get to that where we don't take any money out of Social Security and do that as well. But like I said, I mean, this whole thing, it's smoke and mirrors. It's a joke. All the things that Trump's promised, all the things that he said, it's all bullshit. It's just another shit show. It's just coming from a different direction. We still haven't seen people going to jail. We still haven't seen people exposed. We are told that trillions and trillions of dollars have been stolen. Now Elon Musk is gone. Nobody's being prosecuted. There's, Pam Bondi is useless. Cash Patel is useless. And so all of these little things that they're trying to do to make everybody happy is just total nonsense and bullshit, including this bill.
Okay. All right. So again, if you guys were a member of the House or the Senate, with the configuration that it is now, would you vote for it? I would say yes, I would vote for it, take what I can get, and then work to get rid of all the obstacles to getting everything I wanted. But that's me. Because that was Ronald Reagan's philosophy. Take what you can get and go for the rest later. Blake, what do you think? Would you vote for this or not?
I guess at this point I would. I probably wouldn't have the first time around because I think things have to be rejected. There should be a debate and they should have little give and take and talk about all the issues. But personally, I just want to see it split into at least 5, maybe even 10 different bills in itself.
Yep.
And that way they could bring on, there's no reason, like the absurdity of trying to go on, we need border security and we need 160 billion, but you need 3.3 trillion dollars of spending to get that. So it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Okay, so Steve, would you vote for it in its current form?
No.
Okay.
I would vote no, and I would be dead because I would be exposing everything I could get my hands on. I'd be on I would have my own YouTube channel. I would have Toxically Masculine 7 days a week, and I would be telling everything I could tell everybody all the time, and they would eventually kill me because there's nothing in that bill that couldn't be changed to make it, to make things better. And I'm so sick and tired. Like I said, I'm just so sick and tired of, when we get in, we're going to make changes. It doesn't matter whether it's Republicans, Democrats. When we get in, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Nobody uses any common sense. Nobody thought to say, hey, let's just back off on this bill. We'll break it down. We'll do it in segments. We'll do Social Security as one. We'll do tips as one. We'll do overtime as another. We'll do the taking away the benefits from the illegal aliens as another. It's just another game to try to appease the American people like they did something, and they really haven't done anything. I guarantee you it hasn't saved us $1. In fact, it's probably, since the aliens are still allowed to draw benefits, they're going to give more aliens benefits and we're going to lose more money.
Yeah. Okay. Brooks, yes or no? Yay or nay? Is Congressman Brooks Agnew from North Carolina yay or nay on the proposed big beautiful bill?
I would vote for it because I want to support the president. But Steve is exactly right. These little pieces, like, for instance, to get Murkowski's vote, they had to give her money for rural hospitals in Alaska, which is basically just an Alaskan bailout. So she secured money for her cronies in Alaska, and then she voted yes.
She's going to be getting some campaign contributions out of that money, too.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So that's where it gets all dirty. But this Votorama thing that they had, this is what interests me the most. When they go into this voting frenzy where everybody's proposing little bills all day, for 24 hours a day. That's the way it should be every day. Yeah, I would like to propose no tax on tips. All those in favor, aye. Done.
And they should get rid of all the committees. Somebody should just write up a bill. It should go straight to the floor of the House or the Senate and be voted on the same fucking day. Read it, vote it, or at least once a week. None of this month after month after month of hand wringing, because it just gives the all of the lobbyists time to come in and screw the thing up.
Yeah, but you see, you can't. That will never happen because the Murkowski doesn't get her money, Collins doesn't get her strokes, Rand Paul doesn't get his strokes. It just turns into a big circle jerk. But what the people need to see is that's what it is.
And it is both. And it is both parties. It is both sides of the aisle.
Yeah. Yes, it is. It's that. And that's where I support Elon Musk. I've been for an American party, and I've got a Patriot Party hat.
Yeah, I like the Patriot Party myself. Yeah,
I'm for another party to rise up and be against the global syndicate. I call them the global syndicate. They're made up of members of both parties, but yank the Freedom Caucus out of it. Yank these various very good congressmen and very good senators. Yank them out of those parties and let's build a new party. Fuck the two-party system.
Yeah. All right, guys, shifting gears, New York actually held a primary this past week for their mayoral race, and the leader in the clubhouse, the guy who's expected to go to the general and actually become the next mayor, is a fucking commie, okay? And I mean, literally, he's an overt Muslim communist who hates America and wants to kill white people. That's basically
and he
what
eats
he is.
With the same hand that he wipes his ass with.
Yeah. It doesn't wash his hands
God.
pretty much. Anyway, so we don't know that for a fact. So there's a lot of complexity to this particular issue, but the reality is it's not completely dead yet, but it looks like he's going to be elected. And this is what Donald Trump had to say about Zorhan, whatever the fuck his name is.
Mamdammy.
Just play it.
I think he's terrible. He's a communist. The last thing we need is a communist. I said there will never be socialism in the United States. Now we have a communist. So I think he's bad news. And I think we're going to have a lot of fun with him, watching him, because he has to come right to this building to get his money. And don't worry, he's not going to run away with anything. I think he's, frankly, I've heard he's a total nut job. I think the people of New York are crazy. If they go this route, I think they're crazy. We will have a communist for the first time, really, a pure, true communist. He wants to operate the grocery stores, the department stores. What about the people that are there? I think it's crazy. I think he's terrible.
Well, okay. That was pretty specific by President Trump. TV's Blake Wally. What are your thoughts on this? And there's people are saying that if this dickhead Curtis Sliwa, who is part of the Guardian Angels, right? He's the head of the, is that what they're called? The Guardian Angels group in New York.
think so, yeah.
Sliwa. If he
Yeah.
would drop out, there would probably be enough votes to elect somebody else, but he won't drop out. So it's almost like there's some sort of commie payoff thing going on to get this guy in. But Blake, what are your thoughts on Zoran and President Trump's very direct criticism of his nomination?
No, he's certainly a controversial character. So it's interesting. I guess, I'm not that surprised by New York, and they've had trouble recently with their local politicians. So now they're going to the extremes, and I guess it sounds good to them. And yeah, he's coming in like he's making big promises, and I guess that like the free handouts and what have you, but they won't know how bad that's going to affect them till later down the road. So yeah, it's kind of a dangerous thing when you start getting dependent on the government. So that's not good with his policy. So it's good to see that get challenged openly by Trump and many others, because that might be the direction they're going. So I think he's won the primary, so he beat Cuomo. But I mean, he ran against Cuomo. I mean, and some of these the clown show that the Democrats were putting up there. So we'll see if I think he's still got the showdown with Adams now.
Yeah,
so it's not official, but he's way up in the polls. So I think this is what they wanted. So I guess it's sad to see a great city fall this way, but they want to run this experiment, so now we all get to watch and see how it plays out.
Yeah, my girlfriend AOC is pulling for him. Yep, we know that. Okay, Steve, I'm gonna risk this, but if I was a New Yorker business owner, first of all, I'd be selling everything in New York right now. But I don't think I'm going to find any buyers with this clown ready to come in. But I would be trying to sell my businesses and get the hell out of New York at this point. But maybe we should just send in, I don't know, the 1st Airborne or something to just get rid of this guy and throw him out of the country. There are rumors. We'll talk to Brooks about that. There are rumors that he's an illegal immigrant and maybe they can deport him. But what would you do if you were a New Yorker who owned a business, a production, and this guy was gonna take your business? What would you do about that?
Well, first of all, anybody who's staying in New York to make money is an idiot. They need to not only remove all the businesses, take them across the state line, take them across multiple state lines. They need to also take the I just drew a blank.
It's okay.
The stock market, right. And they need to move that to a different state out of New York. Get that out of there. Anything of real value that could harm the United States or that could.
How about the UN? Why don't we just bulldoze the UN and get rid of it and say, hey,
we just defund it. Once we cut off the money to them, they're screwed.
Yeah.
So all we got to do with them is not give them any money. But literally just pull out every major business to include the stock market and move it somewhere else. And I guarantee you it won't be within a year the city will fall. Yeah. Because if the federal government isn't funding them and backing them up with extra money, they got nowhere to go.
Yeah, and I mean, Trump basically said, I'm not going to give them any money, so they're just going to starve. And that would be ultimate sweet revenge for Donald Trump on this state.
But if you're a business owner and this guy says he's taking over your business and he's also saying that if you're white, that you're going to pay more money and you're going to be, you're going to be punished for being white, why would you want to stay there?
Yeah. I think we're headed towards escape from New York, Blake. I really do. I think we're just going to wall the fucking place off and forget about it. It's like that's what I would do. And send Snake Plissken in.
There you go.
TV's Blake Wally, Snake Plissken, to go in there and straighten things out. Brooks, what are your thoughts
with a camera on his head?
Yeah, what are your thoughts on this situation, Brooks?
Well, first of all, Mamdami's claims that he's going after white people, white neighborhoods because they're the richest is false. It's actually Indian neighborhoods and Indian businessmen that earn the most money in New York, and he's not talking about going after them at all. And what I said earlier about him eating with his hands, there's video proof that he does not use a fork And any man that doesn't use a fork doesn't use toilet paper. He wipes his ass with the same hand he eats with. He is a communist. He is pure evil, and he is refusing to answer any questions, and he's smooth talking his way in by hooking the people who are paying 70% of their income on rent. Somehow he's convinced them, you'll be able to afford rent if you elect me. And those are his constituents.
So my thing is that as a nation, we are supposed to not do business with other nations, like South Africa is an example now that they're, taking white people's property and murdering them just for the sake of doing it, and it's perfectly legal. So we have a potential mayor who is saying that he is going to basically go in, take people's private property and run it for them and give them their
That's
share, put in like employees. How does that work that the federal government doesn't step in and say, hey, we don't do this with foreign countries. We're damn sure not going to do it with you.
It has been
Why
done.
would
It has been done in this country. FDR did it. You stand in line, you tell people what you want to buy, and you buy a ticket. Then you take the ticket and you go stand in another line, which is the line for people.
Yeah, during the war.
And this rationing was already done.
Yeah.
It's already been tried. It's been tried in a dozen countries in a dozen ages, and it never, ever works. If anybody's listening to this program,
but yet nobody's saying anything bad about it. That's what I'm trying to say. At the federal level, no one is saying, hey, this is not something that works. It's not something that we should be doing. We discourage it in other countries, and and this guy is saying he wants to do it here. We don't need someone like that in office, and nobody's really saying it.
Let me tell you, when they start calling you a worker, that's when your ears should perk up, because the way into socialism is paved with these sweet words, but the way out is paved with blood.
Yep, absolutely. Blake, I have a thought I'd like to run by you. You're fairly conspiratorial like me. What if this works out that they can find a way, if this guy really does try to get elected and try to implement commie policies, to run him out of town, to basically say, you can't do that, this is America. You can't do this is America. Does that open up the possibility you could do the same thing with all these communities that are trying to implement Sharia law? So could this be spun into a positive thing for the Patriots?
Yeah, if you can show examples of how it's a failing policy, and it should be easy. There's so many historical examples. So people just you need to kind of break it down for these people. Again, they'd like to hear it. It sounds good. It's great. But then what is the reality? So if you can show them and they can avoid those pitfalls, then all the better. But they might have to feel...
Well, once again... The guy's somebody put it up on Twitter, this guy's trying to get elected by offering free shit to stupid people. And, one of the most basic things my dad ever taught me, and this is wisdom from Eugene Bara Sr., is, he had no middle name, is don't accept any help from anybody that you didn't ask for.
Don't accept any help from anybody that what,
you didn't ask for. Because there's always something attached to the help.
Right. There's always a hook to it.
There's always
these kids.
I mean, let's all face it. There's nothing that's free. Somebody has to pay for it.
The reason these kids are lining up at his table is because he's saying, oh, no, I'm not going to take from you. I'm going to take from them. That's why they're lining up at his table.
Yeah.
He doesn't understand. The them
becomes you.
They all work for.
Yeah, it becomes you. It eventually becomes you. Oh, we're only going to raise the income tax on the rich. Well, guess what? Pretty soon, everybody's going to be paying that.
Yeah, the rich is anybody who makes $20,000 a year.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. New issue here, guys. Over the weekend in Idaho, in actually Hayden, Idaho, there was a shooting. It was a setup situation where actually what happened is somebody set a fire and then started shooting the firemen when they showed up to put it out. Let's watch this report from Fox News.
After several hours, members of a SWAT team discovered the body of a man, a weapon lying nearby that man who, according to the Associated Press, once again, has now been identified as Wes Rowley. And a quick update, Sandra, on the firefighter who was badly wounded. He underwent emergency surgery last night. The sheriff said he was, quote, fighting for his life. One piece of good news today, we are told that he is in stable condition. Sandra?
Oh my goodness, thank God for that update. Our thoughts will continue to be with them. Thank you so much.
Okay, so that is basically the situation. By the way, Deb from Sacramento, thank you for moderating. I appreciate that.
Yes, if you could hear it, because I couldn't hear
you
anything.
can hear it? Okay, well, they basically just said, yeah. Well, did everybody else hear it?
I heard it.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is straight out of the Islamic playbook, terrorist playbook. They did this in Spain. They did it in Italy. They've done it in other countries where they set off a car bomb, and when the cops and the firefighters show up, they ambush them. They've done this before on many occasions. And, you find this guy and they say, oh, he was a Trumper. He was a Trumper. Well, his parents were, but his parents had a restraining order against him. Let me see if I can find his picture. He's appears to be a transsexual on top of it. He's a little bit weird. And here's the thing, guys. Jennifer Falah, who does my show with me, on Mondays and Wednesdays. Basically, this happened about 2 miles away from her house. So she was close enough. She was close enough that her house could have burned down. Here is the guy. Let's share this tab instead and show it. Her house could have burned down. It was about 2 miles away in Hayden, Idaho. This is the guy. He looks like an Arab, frankly. I don't know what the fuck he is, but his parents are white as hell, so he must be adopted. And she said everybody was saying there was more than one shooter in the town of Hayden. So they had shelter in place. They stayed there. It was stressful all day long until they found this guy. And there were reports, apparently from the police, that there was more than one shooter at the beginning. So this is a little bit smelly, Brooks. Do you think that she doesn't believe that there was only one shooter? She believes this was an ambush by multiple people. But what do you think, Brooks? What do you know?
I think we have news actors as reporters. There are some basic questions, and Steve will back me up on this. The very first question they should have asked was, so you found this dead guy. Were you able to ascertain the cause of his death? Did he starve to death? Was he shot? Oh, he was shot. Is there evidence that he died there or that he died somewhere else and was dropped there? Is there evidence that that gun that was close to him is the gun that shot him? Or was there another gun that shot him, another caliber that shot him? None of these questions were asked.
Yep.
We don't know if the shooter had a relationship with one of the dead firefighters, which I suspect there was.
Wow. Going for it, Brooks. See, that's the thing.
Well, and see, the thing is, they never do a complete and thorough investigation. I guarantee you, just like the Las Vegas shooter, you're going to have, Idaho strong or some bullshit like that, and the whole thing's going to go away, and there's not going to be any new information coming forward.
Yeah. This is how I became a conspiracy theorist. Was TWA 800, the 747 that was shot down just off Long Island in New York.
Perfect case.
By a Standard missile fired from a U.S. naval ship that was doing military exercises that the plane drifted into by accident. They were shooting at a target. They hit the airplane. It was completely covered up. And these government officials would come out and they would lie through their teeth and say things about airplanes that being a structural engineer on all those airplanes, Boeing planes, I knew were fucking lies. And that's when I'm like, these conspiracy people, this is something, cover it up. This is definitely something. So, TV's Blake Wally, what was your analysis of the situation this weekend? And what do you think about Brooks's theory that this was a personal hit job going after a firefighter. It seems like if he shot 3 guys,
So you think it's fags?
it's
like
a gay
couple of
thing.
fags?
Yeah, it's gay. Yeah, like the second X-Files movie, the gay Frankenstein thing. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I think it's absolutely plausible. So I was kind of surprised by the lack of information on it today. It's almost like it kind of left the news cycle already, because I didn't even cover it on my show today. It's a horrific story that like first responders would be ambushed in this way. But I think there is something to what Brooks is saying. And one of the things I did hear, I don't know if it was on TV or whatever video, that he had allegedly was like maybe tried to be a firefighter and was rejected.
Yep.
It seemed like he was a troubled youth, and maybe he was trans, which means he could have mental illness. He could be on hormones or hormone blockers.
All homosexuals suffer.
Yeah.
Right. He could have just been rebellious against his Trump parents. I don't know, but it's an awful, awful story. And it seems like there's something they don't want to tell us.
Yeah.
But,
there's stories floating around out there that homosexuality is primarily due to parasites, male homosexuality. And there are stories, Brooks, that this has been treated. So it may not be mental illness, Steve. It may be parasites influencing the thinking of people. There are stories of people who have taken ivermectin and suddenly they're not gay after they have a run of
Then all gay people should take ivermectin.
I mean, Milo Yiannopoulos, he went from being gay to now being straight. That just doesn't happen that easily. But somebody told me that he did some ivermectin and he kind of like got done with that and he wasn't gay anymore. And I'm like, wow. So that's a wild theory, but it's out there and it probably should be investigated. But here's the thing, Blake, you're absolutely right in the sense that if he was gay, if he was a transsexual, if he was Arab or Islamic, those are all reasons for them to suppress information about him. Look, when they don't tell you a description of the shooter, remember when they said, the sheriff basically said, if you see this guy, go ahead and take him out. Well, they didn't tell us what he looked like. So if you see an Arabic-looking guy with dark skin and pitch black hair carrying a rifle, that's the guy. So when they don't give you the description, it means he's not a white male. It means he's something else. So that definitely got all my little spidey sense going. And the question is, do you think anything's going to shift or change here, or is this just, again, agenda policing?
I mean, let's face reality. I mean, he's a good-looking kid. So there is, he could have somebody at the fire department who lured him in and was trying to groom him or did groom him and then, kicked him to the curb. I mean, it's very feasible.
Let me just tell you something here, Rick Norman. Blake is not a pimp, okay? His girls do not do anything related to they don't do that stuff at Blake's Club. Blake's Club is a clean place. I just want you to know. The liquor store in Nashville.
Just don't park in the parking lot. Just don't park in the parking lot for too long because your tires will be.
By the way, Blake, if this fucking RV ever happens, I am gonna move. I'm gonna go to Nashville. I'm gonna buy a place, open up a strip club, call it the Lickety Split, and make you the manager. I just want you to know that that's your job. That's your job for now.
That. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah. I need to put ivermectin in the chemtrails. That's a good idea. All right, gentlemen. Yeah. Well, okay. This is a wild and controversial show today. Let's finish off with something really interesting. President Trump visited a new maximum security prison for, I guess, illegal immigrants, primarily in the
Everglades.
The Everglades in Florida, and they're calling it Alligator Alcatraz. Why? This is an exaggeration, but they seeded. It's surrounded by water filled with alligators. I don't know who's going to feed the alligators, how that's going to work, but this is really fascinating.
They're self-feeding.
Yeah, and Trump hung out with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, whose political career he ended in the primary season this 2024. Let's listen to what the two of them had to say.
This is we're offering up our National Guard and other folks in Florida to be deputized to be immigration judges. We're working with the Department of Justice for the approvals. I'm sure Pam will approve. But then I'll have a National Guard judge advocate here. Someone has a notice to appear. Biden would tell them to come back in 3 years and appear. Now you'll be able to appear in like a day or two, so they're not going to be detained, hopefully, for all that long. We'll have people here in this facility that can make, it's a bureaucracy. The president's got to deal with the bureaucracy. Now, that Supreme Court ruling was good because that's going to allow him to be able to exercise Article 2 the way founders intended, but you still have bureaucracy. So we want to cut through that so that we have an efficient operation between Florida and DHS to get the removal of these illegals done.
I think this is great, and I support. I'm gonna praise DeSantis, who I couldn't stand, for going on cooperating with this. I think this is a great idea. What kind of a Susan? Excuse me, Susan Gratz. You're a little bit naive, sweetie. There's only one kind. Okay, the kind where girls don't have clothes. So that's the kind of strip. What kind of strip club? What kind of question is that, Susan? I love you, but come on. All right, so what do you think, Blake Wally of Alligator Well, wait a minute. I want to go to Steve Doran. Steve, what do you think of Alligator Alcatraz? You start.
Oh, I would love there to be an Alligator Alcatraz. It would be awesome to have a prison like out in the middle of the swamp, just off the shore of the country, about a mile and a half out before the 2 mile limit. Anywhere that if they escape, their chances of success are about zero.
Yeah. And the thing is, I wonder if this is set up, Blake. Do you think this is set up to make the idea of this, of being caught and put in a prison like this so unappealing that they just self-deport and flee the country? What do you think about that concept?
Yeah, I was talking about this on my show earlier today. Is talking about the different incentives they could do or different punishments, and that is reserved for that. So that is going to yes, it's a psychological thing where people are going to see that and realize that they don't want to get caught and sent there. And I think it's awesome that DeSantis is working together with Trump, and they're exactly like he said, they can cut through the BS, red tape, and get things done. And it's unfortunate. This is the Biden administration's problem, and now Trump has to fix it. I think
it should be that way in every single state, where it's like it's no more than a day.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think in every state they should build a maximum security prison for illegal aliens.
There's all kinds of alligators. In every single state, there's like some nasty ass horrible location where a prison can be built that if you escape, you're pretty much toast.
Yeah. So, Brooks, your thoughts?
Well, I like the idea of not being detained very long. And the JAG idea is the smartest idea I think I've ever heard. Yeah, you're not going to wait 3 years for your court date. You're going to wait 3 days, you and your family. And if your asylum claim is legit and your wants and warrants come back clean, maybe we could process you a different way. But if your wants and warrants come back with a DUI and larceny and wife beating and a restraining order and a stolen car, you are gone, baby. The airstrip's right there and the plane leaves every day for your country.
All right. Sounds good to me. Susan Gretz says, I know I was joking at the name. My mind went elsewhere. Well, it's supposed to, Susan. There actually, when I lived in Minneapolis, there actually was a strip club called the Lickety Split. I never visited, but it was called that, and I think it's a great name for a strip club. Melissa Morton Thompson wants to know if she can work the club. Well, Missy, I don't know what your qualifications are, but you have my number, so text me, send me some messages, and let me know show me what your qualifications are. All right. Anybody else? Fucking invaders.
I was going to add one thing. And that is that I almost forgot because you got the strip club in my mind now.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Susan and Missy wanted to talk about it. So.
No, the issue is that we need to be processing about 1 million a day out of this country.
Yeah.
Right now we're doing about 60,000 a month. The numbers don't add up.
And the other thing is that with them continuing to get benefits, there's no doubt in my mind, even the ones that they're sending back, that they are continuing to receive those benefits and continuing
Oh
to
my
receive
God.
money
I hope
in
not.
their bank account
Right.
while they're in their foreign country, and it's going in their U.S. bank account here. There's no doubt in my mind.
You're probably right.
All
I
right,
mean,
guys.
I went to a quick story. I mean, I wanted to vomit on the guy. I was getting my hair cut, and I'd never been to this place before. And the guy was clearly Arab, and he said to me how much money he was making off the federal government. And he showed me his phone, and he showed me he was getting a $6,000 deposit every month from the U.S. government. It said U.S. Treasury Department or something like that. Plus, he's working, getting cash, right, as a barber. And he said, "Oh, you don't get anything like that?" And started laughing, like in my face, like it's a big joke, and we don't. So after he got done cutting my hair, I said, "Well," I said, "you just did this one for free." I said, "My tax dollars already paid you, so try to take it from me." And he just shut up and got out the door. And I left out the door. But I mean, it's just like they put them in a position to steal from the American people. And as we're hearing, oh yes, they take trillions of dollars, and what are we doing about it? Not a damn thing. We're still doing the same old thing, letting them get away with it, not taking the money back. And as long as that continues, and as long as the American people put up with it, we're toast. We're lost.
Yeah. This is a frustrating show for me because we talked about a lot of issues, but I don't think we're going to get much done on any of them. It's like we don't have clear solutions to this. Like, I don't know what to do about the New York
because both sides of the aisle are corrupt, and you got a president who is sitting there smiling, and he's got all these great ideas, and he talks about all these things that they're discovering and all these things that they're doing, but then nothing ever happens. Nothing. So it's just more bullshit, and then at the end of his presidency, he'll go, "See, I discovered it's up to the next guy to make these arrests, and Bondi worked the best she could, but it's exhausting with all the people we found that were corrupt and this and that and the other thing, and it'll just be the same old crap the next time."
Yep. Shockingly, there are more people in the stream than there were when we started. So we increased our audience, which is usually the opposite of the way it goes. But guys, that's going to wrap it up. We got off to a late start. I apologize. My preparation was not what it should be, but we will be back next Tuesday.
Preparation H at the pharmacist was not ready.
Okay. And thank you. The thing is, guys, is that what I like about the show is that we usually have solutions. And what's frustrating for me tonight is I don't really have any solid solutions for any of these issues tonight. And that's frustrating. And it shows us that we're not the people in power. The people in power have to start taking this stuff a lot more seriously. So that's kind of where we're at. Any final thoughts? Blake, let's start with you.
Yeah, as you said, we had such high expectations for Trump, and the first month was amazing, and there was all this good news that was supposed to be flowing in, and now it seems to be business as usual, and there's more infighting with MAGA. Yeah, it's tough. It's I hope civilization isn't unraveling. I'm still here for it. I'm still optimistic. I'm still gonna observe it.
You need to learn to use your 12 gauge.
I don't know, Blake. You got a 12 gauge at home? No.
I got one of those like Turkish styles with the.
Ooh.
I haven't even. Yeah.
I like the sawed-off shotguns. Those are good.
That's what he's talking about. It's a sawed-off.
Yeah.
Turkish.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's semi-automatic or pump.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a semi. Yeah, I should get a pump, but yeah, it was a fun one with the I haven't shot it yet. I gotta come down there.
People think that the problems are over. They're not over. I mean, they're just getting started again.
Yeah.
And so you're an idiot if you don't prepare at home, if you don't prepare yourself, if you don't prepare your family. You may as well kiss your ass goodbye, because it's not over.
That's the
And
thing.
You can
We
see
need
it. You can see it every day when you turn on the news. You know, you're expecting one thing to be said and something else comes out.
Yep.
And they say something completely different. I've totally lost my, I've totally lost trust in Trump. I think it's a joke. Some of the stuff that he's doing, he hasn't done anything solid since he started. I've totally lost my trust and faith in the FBI and the and Pam Bondi's office.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to do some major changes for me to even give them any credibility whatsoever.
Yeah. What we need is something what I call asymmetric to happen. In other words, let's send the troops in and arrest all the district judges. Let's do something extraordinary to wake people the fuck up.
We have people to do that. I mean, we have people right in their offices. They're called federal marshals.
Yep.
They can walk out of their office into the judges' chambers and arrest them immediately within about 5 seconds.
Do it. It's time to
I know.
do
Oh,
it.
I'm with you. And I mean, and that's the other thing. You know, what they do is every time they say something big is coming down, it's some little bullshit arrest.
And the corruption is so deep and at so many levels. It's like you're fighting this massive gorgon that just has a million heads. You know, so you cut off the head of a snake and another one grows.
It's just like when I was in Los Alamos. What I used to say is, it's like sticking your arm in a bucket of sand. When you pull it back out, it immediately fills back up.
Yep.
So you take your few grains, you throw them in prison, you prosecute them, you investigate them, and as soon as your arm comes out, bucket's full again.
Yep. All right, guys, that's going to do it for tonight. My thanks to TV's Blake Wally, Steve Doran, the Trail Boss, and Dr. Brooks Agnew, again, from High Testosterone Mike. Testosterone is through the roof. Everybody have a great week. We'll see you next Tuesday. I'll be on tomorrow. I think with Jennifer Falah. We'll see. I hope so. That's the plan. Everybody have a great one.
Jennifer who?
Jen Falah, my
Okay.
co-host.